Well, I mean, Lawrence, this is why the American people deserve to have a full accounting of the financial interest, including the indebtedness of the President of the United States. And I do share in that concern. Who does he owe the money to? Tell us, who do you owe the money to? And do you owe debt to any foreign nation? Do you owe, do you owe debt? Do you owe money? Let's just be clear about what debt means. You owe somebody money. Do you owe anybody money who is impacted by any decision you make as President of the United States? We need to know that. The American people have a right to know that when the President of the United States acts, he acts with their priorities in mind, not with his priorities in mind. And we've already known that he puts his political priorities in front of the American people. But we are now seeing, in a way that is evident, clearly evident, that he also is prepared to put his personal interest ahead of the American people by not disclosing who he owes money to. And he owes a lot of money, maybe to a lot of people, and we should know.
And this is just one more example why you really don't want to get on Kamala Harris's bad side. Here she takes aim at Trump in the aftermath of the bombshell report out of the New York Times, where it was discovered that in 2016 and 2017, Trump only paid $750 in federal income taxes per year, and paid literally nothing in 10 of the 15 years prior to that. And that would already be damning unto itself, that Trump is a cheat who's contributed nothing to society. Not to police or the military that he so desperately panders to, not to firefighters, not to first responders, not to teachers or roads or bridges. Donald Trump will squeeze everything he can out of society, but offers nothing in return to actually contribute. But what Kamala is talking about here is Trump's personal debt, millions of which would come due in a second term, and how that would create a massive national security risk. The Times reported that Trump has at least $421 million in debt coming due, although other publications have estimated that number to be between $500 million and $1 billion. And if Trump is president when these payments come due, it begs the question, what could he do as president to alleviate his own personal debt? Keep in mind, the federal government doesn't even give security clearances to people who have significant debt for that very reason. That because they're vulnerable as a result of that debt, they may act in such a way that's intended to alleviate that debt for themselves personally and not in the best interest of the country. The same applies to the president, meaning that while he's supposed to be operating in the best interest of the United States, he may be making trade deals to benefit those who hold his debt. He may be launching strikes on the enemies of those who hold his debt. He may allocate aid or disaster relief or any funding at all based on those who hold his debt. Think about it. If, I don't know, let's just say Russia holds Trump's debt, do you think he'd be tough on them? Probably not. Not even if they were actively interfering in our election. Not even if they placed bounties on our soldiers' heads. Oh, those things actually happened? And Trump did nothing at all in retaliation? Weird, huh? So when Kamala Harris and the rest of the world asks about who Trump owes debt to, it's not just to embarrass Trump over his taxes. We already knew he was a con man. We already knew he was a cheat. We already knew that he would go to the ends of the earth to avoid contributing to society, just like he's done for years, from stiffing contractors to dodging the draft to forcing taxpayers to cover his weekly golf trips. But this is bigger than Trump being scummy. This is Trump being a threat to the national security of the United States. And bear in mind, this doesn't have to be a partisan issue, and it shouldn't be. Americans on both ends of the political spectrum should at least find solace in the fact that our elected officials are working in our best interest as a country and not in their own personal interest because of any outstanding financial trouble they may be in. And given what we know not only from Trump's taxes, but from his absolute desperation to keep them hidden, he's not exactly quelling any of our concerns. So before you cast your ballot, ask yourself who you'd feel safer with as president. Joe Biden, who owes money to no one and is a contributing member of society? Or Donald Trump, who's indebted into the millions by shady sources that he's hell-bent on protecting, with those debts coming due over the next few years? So yeah, take all the time you need. While you're here, please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deeper dive into the week's biggest stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Eric Swalwell, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.